What's up guys, it's my birthday once again and I'm here today to celebrate with Bleach 578, the Undead 5. No, but seriously, it's time to review another chapter. This chapter is good for the most part, except the end is crap, basically. But, you know, let's start from the beginning. As it ends where it ended off last week. Actually, no, let's start with the title. Let's start with the chapter title, because it's quite an important title. The Undead 5. For those of you who follow Bleach kind of as religiously as I do, which I should imagine is a fair few of you, the Undead is basically a series of titles devoted to Kenpachi and Kenpachi-centric events, like generally major events as well. So like the Undead in general pertains to that whole mantra that he can't be cut down. And I believe like every time there's been an Undead chapter, something pretty major's happened. So like I think the first one was like the eye patch reveal. Then there was like the kendo reveal against Neutra. So this one, you know, is kind of a little bit odd in that there's no big reveal. Kind of. I almost think the Undead would have been suited more to last week, but then kind of this week is showing off Nozarashi, I suppose. And there are some cool pictures of Nozarashi as well. We get to see it properly in action this week. Speaking of action, the action's really good for the most part. But it starts off with the chunks of the meteor that Kenpachi just blew up, raining down on the city of Vanderreich, probably killing hundreds of innocents. And Gremmy, you know, he's like, you know, you just destroyed it with a single blow. You know, you're a monster. And he's not flipping out so much, which I'm glad to see. But he's just like, you know, in disbelief, basically. And Kenpachi's like sitting in the air with Nozarashi, and he's like, you know, shut your mouth. It's simple. We get this really cool title page, which is just full page of Kenpachi holding Nozarashi. Looks beast. We get a proper look, and he's like, and he says, there isn't any. There's nothing that I can't cut. Now, is that the ability of Nozarashi? Do we reckon that he can literally cut everything? That'd be kind of cool. It would fit Kenpachi, obviously. Maybe slightly underwhelming, but I don't know really. But then like we get all these Gremmy clones appear around him, and Kenpachi's kind of like, you know, increasing your numbers won't change anything. Kenpachi then tries to swing at Gremmy, but Gremmy says that I'll kill you with something that doesn't have any form, and all of the little Gremmys, like they summon basically a void of space. The manga stream translates it as an ability called Galaxy Room. But as far as I know, like nowhere else has translated that, so maybe they made that up. That wouldn't surprise me. But anyway, yeah, they call it Galaxy Room, which is a cool name. It's a cool name even if they made it up. But basically, and it's a really nice picture actually because it's like they kind of summon this like blanket of darkness basically, and there's actually like little stars peppered inside it and everything. That's really cool. Like, you know, I was kind of expecting from Kubo just to be a black space. But the fact that there's little stars and everything, and like Kenpachi's, the black on Kenpachi kind of goes a bit negative. It looks really cool, actually. But then, frankly, something even crazier happens, and Kenpachi's eye starts to like, technically it's evaporating, but it looks like it's like blowing up almost, like it's melting out of his head. I mean, that is pretty gory. And then basically he starts freaking out. All this stuff is coming out of his mouth, which I suppose is like his, well, it's just everything from inside him, I guess. And like you see the blood on him start boiling and stuff. And he's like, ah, and he's like getting really hurt, which is pretty crazy actually. You know, Grammy's like when you're in outer space, everything starts being forcibly evaporated. So Kenpachi's being basically destroyed from the inside. Then we get what's probably my favourite part of the chapter, because I think it's really, like, it's just really cool. Nozarashi swings into one of Gremmy's clones, cuts it in half, and you just get this really clever imagery, because obviously Gremmy was closing the void of space around Kenpachi. You see Kenpachi's, like, got his hand, he's, like, holding open the sky, and he's got Nozarashi sticking out of it, and you can, like, see his eye in there. Really cool stuff. And he breaks out of the sky, basically. Cuts the clone of Gremmy in half. And I have to say that Nozarashi looks awesome. While it's, like, in motion, really cool. Like, the tassel adds a lot, actually, because you can see the fluid motion with it. Looks really great. But anyway, he cuts the Gremmy clone in half, but it's got like a bomb attached to it. And then basically, I think all these little Gremmys have bombs attached to them, and they all grab Kenpachi. Something funny to note is that one Gremmy that's just kind of desperately holding on to the end of his Hayori. But yeah, all these little Gremmy bombs basically grab onto Kenpachi and they'll detonate. And it's kind of creepy that Kenpachi's eye is now all veiny and stuff. But yeah, they all blow up. And I have to say, Kubo draws explosions kind of weirdly these days. They look like just like bubbles, like popping. Excuse me, I'm pretty ill at the moment. But yeah, there's a massive explosion. Gremmy kind of watches. The real Gremmy watches, and he's starting to get a bit tired. Now, I presume this is like because he's just doing too much. He's like summoning too much stuff. But then we get this awesome picture of Kenpachi emerging from the smoke, looking proper sinister, charred to the bone, basically, but alive. And Gremmy's like, this isn't funny. You were actually a monster. Now, I thought Gremmy was going to go Volslandig. What happens is slightly more confusing, slightly more underwhelming, and just doesn't make it. Well, it does make sense. I'm going to try and make sense of this because I just didn't understand it at first. He basically says, you're a goddamn monster, so I'm going to have to become stronger than you are. And he gets all these veins on his face. Very reminiscent of Gio Vega going Tigo de Stockray against Suifon in the Fake Kuritown arc. Kenpachi has this look on his face, which is really interesting, actually. He's kind of just like, what are you doing? We get a little in the monologue of Gremmy again. He's like, I want to win. This is the first time since my birth I've actually wanted to beat someone, which is interesting. Unfortunately for him, that wish is not going to come true. Kenpachi, I have to say, looks really awesome at the moment with Nozarashi, and he's like just charred, and like his clothes are ripped. It looks really awesome. Basically, he says, "I'll crush you, and then you'll have visual proof of my might." But then he kind of dies. Basically, it's really gory as well. Basically, like he just like splits apart. Like you can see these muscles, and then you can see. I'm just gonna have to lean in to try and have a look here. Something comes out of his side. I think it maybe his ribs. I'm not sure because obviously he's like now somehow gone huge. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But he's splitting apart. His body is just breaking basically. And Kenpachi says, "Inside that head of yours, you made me out to be some sort of unimaginable monster. That unimaginable monster ended up killing you. And he basically says, fucking dumbass, and Gremmy falls to the floor. And that's the end of the chapter. So what happened? Because it's not clear. Originally, I thought Gremmy tried to imagine himself stronger than Kenpachi, physically, and that was impossible. Like, that was literally impossible. So his body destroyed itself. Now I'm not so sure. Because he looks like he's actually a monster. So I don't know. Like, maybe because Gremmy's a child, in his mind he actually sees Kenpachi as a literal monster. Now obviously because Gremmy's power is imagination, what he believes comes true. So when he was saying you're a goddamn monster, I imagine he probably didn't mean a literal monster, but because that's what he's thinking, for him that becomes reality. And so when he becomes stronger than Kenpachi, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe he gets a monster inside of him that breaks out of him, but I don't think that's happening either. I'm going to go with the more logical one, and that's that he tried to become stronger than Kenpachi. It physically wasn't possible, and his body broke. That's kind of what I'm going with. And that's the end of the chapter. He falls to the floor. Artwork was phenomenal this week. Absolutely phenomenal. I loved the action as well. The choreography, trapping Kenpachi in a void of space, that was really cool. I loved that. And then, the whole breaking out, and then all the Gremmy clones and the bomb. That was neat. That was really cool. The ending, though, was bad. like, if that's not the end of the fight, then okay. But frankly, this fight's dragging on really long time now. But if that was the end of the fight, then that was super anticlimactic for a fight that's been going on this long. So yeah, that's kind of it for the chapter. Really, there's not a huge amount to say. Like I said, Nozarashi looks awesome in motion. Looks really cool. Suits Kenpachi, I think now. Really suits him. Because Kenpachi's always been a guy of extremes. He's I have to say something though. Nozarashi does no longer look as big as it did in the original reveal page of the last chapter. So I think Kubo probably downsized it a little bit. It looks really cool though. Kenpachi's always been a man of extremes, so him having a colossally oversized sword works, I think. Um, but yeah, that's kind of it, to be honest. Um, I hope I kind of hope that's the end of the fight because I'm really looking forward to seeing something else. I imagine if Gremmy is dead, we might get some reactions from the Sturmiter, like, oh my god, like he killed the strongest. Maybe we'll get some Gremmy flashback. I kind of think he deserves it. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But that's kind of it for the chapter, really. I don't know what to rate it. I'm kind of thinking either a 7 or an 8. The ending was really bad. Um, but like the rest of the action was really well done, I thought. There wasn't much plot progression either. I'm going to drop a 7 on it. I'm going to give it a 7. Um, that's kind of it, though. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this week's chapter. Do you think Gremmy's dead? Would you have liked to see a Volsonday? Volsonday probably would have done much, though. What do you think of Nozarashi in action? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe to my videos. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and gave me a thumbs up. That'd be so cool. But that's it with this week, guys. I'll catch you next time. See ya.